Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Okay, so we can offer the arti now together for the Lordships. All right. Ke badaya daya gora chande arati kosoba.
Jayo Jayo gora chande Aratika Shobha
Devadaya Dayago Ratane Aratika Shobha Tatavane Ragamanaloba Janavitatavane Ragamanaloba Jagadana loba Gorange arate soba Jagadana loba Jagadana Manaloba Gorange Aratik Soba Jagadana Manaloba Nagadana Manaloba Nagadana Manaloba Haribol, 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 Nitagora Haribol. Nitagora Haribol, 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 Nitagora Haribol. Nake nithaita dhammega da 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 Nake nithaita dhammega da 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 Nikate advaita srini vasatara hara Nikate advaita srini vasatara hara Nikate advaita Vase agorata Ratna Simmasahane Vase agorata Ratna Simmasahane Vase Arate kahare na brahma Ade devagane Arate Arate kahare na brahma Ade devagane Arate kahare Nara Hari Hari Kore Samaradulaya Sandaya Mukunda Vasu Gosare Gaya Sankhavate Gantavade Bade Karatala Madhura Medanga Vade Paramarasala Madhura Sankhavade Gantavade Madhu Madhu Madhuvade Ankavade Gandhavade Madhu Madhu Madhuvade Ankavade Gandhavade Madhu Madhu Madhuvade Ankavade Gandhavade Madhu Madhu Madhuvade Madhu Madhu Madhuvade Madhura Madhura Madhuravade Haribol 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 Nitagora Haribol Nitagora Haribol 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 Nitagora Haribol Baho Kote Chandarine Varana Hutwala Baho Kote Chandarine Varana Hutwala Dalare Sehbana Mahala Kore Dalla Mahala Dala Dalare Sehbana Mahala Kore Dalla Mahala Dalare Deva Sukhana Harada Emegaragara Deva Sukhana Harada Emegaragara Shiva Bhaktivedanta Manor Gurara Sampara Bhaktivedanta Gurara Sampara Bhaktivedanta Gurara Sampara Evadaya Daya Gura Chande Haratika Soba Aratika Soba Dhanavitata Vahane Rata Manaloba Dhanavitata Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pestaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswati Deve Uravani Satarine Nirvishesha Sunyavahari Vasatari Satarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Nirvishesha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dada Dada Shri Vatsari Gora Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Dada Dada Shiva Gora Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Sri Radhe. Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So we can offer now our obeisances. So if you can bow down, so that is very nice. Otherwise you can fold your hands and you can say Jai after the key. So, Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivak Acharya Asata Shri Srimati's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Keda Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Keda Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Keda Prem Se Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda Keda Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Chamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Keda Shri Vrindavan Dham Keda Navadip Maya Pudam Keda Jagannath Puri Dham Keda Ganga Maya Keda Tulasi Devi Keda Yamuna Maya Keda Vrinda Devi Keda Bhakti Devi Keda Samaveta Bhaktivinda Keda Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Keda. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. So now we will continue with a prayer to Lord Nrsimhadev. Okay. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Paladaladaine. Hiranyakashipu Vaksha. Shila Sankana Kalaye. Ita Nisimo Parato Nisimo. Yato Yato Yamisato Nisimo. Mahaya Nisimo Hiraya Nisimo. Narasingam Harim Saranam Papade. Tavakara Kamala Varenakam Hatputta Singam Lalita Hiranyakashipu Anubringam Kesavatita Narahare Rupaha Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Tavakara. Keshavarita Narahari Rupaha Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Keshavarita Narahari Rupaha Jaya Nishimare, Jaya Nishimare, Nishimare, Jaya Nishimare. Jaya Palad Maharaj, Palad Maharaj, Palad Maharaj, Jaya Palad Maharaj, Jaya Palad Maharaj. Palak Maharaj, Jaya Palak Maharaj. Nishimare Bhagwan ke jai, Palak Maharaj ke jai. Yes. So we are serving Mahaprasadam outside the reception, and we will also have a Bhagavad Gita class here in the temple room. So you can stay or come back. It goes till 8:15, 8:30, something like this. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Like this?
She usually don't take this.
You don't take this?
No, it's just normal chair. I mean, this is more for the morning.
One for the morning.
We just take this one. For the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. I saw the lady here, but now she's not here. so much. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopikananda ki Jai, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranatai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay, so we will continue to read from the Bhagavad Gita, and today we are reading from chapter 9. Yeah, we are reading chapter 9, which is entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, and today we are going to read text 28. Subha Shubha Falerevam Moksha Se Karma Bandhane Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mam Upeshchasi. I'll read the word for word. Shubha from auspicious, Ashubha and inauspicious. Phale results. Evam thus. Moksha se you will become free. Karma of work. Bandhane from the bondage. Sannyas of renunciation. Yoga the yoga. Yukta Atma having the mind firmly set on. Vimukta liberated. Mam to me. Upeshyasi you will attain. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Purport. One who acts in Krishna consciousness under superior direction is called Yukta. The technical term is Yukta Vairagya. This is further explained by Rupa Goswami as follows. Anashaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjataha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.255. Rupa Goswami says that as long as we are in this material world, we have to act. We cannot cease acting. Therefore, if actions are performed and the fruits are given to Krishna, then that is called Yukta Vairagya. Actually situated in renunciation, such activities clear the mirror of the mind, and as the actor gradually makes progress in spiritual realization, he becomes completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, at the end, he becomes liberated, and this liberation is also specified. By this liberation, he does not become one with the Brahma Jyoti, but rather enters into the planet of the Supreme Lord. It is clearly mentioned here, Mam Upeshyasi. He comes to me, back home, back to Godhead. There are 5 different stages of liberation, and here it is specified that the devotee who has always lived his lifetime here under the direction of the Supreme Lord, as stated, has evolved to the point where he can, after quitting this body, go back to Godhead and engage directly in the association of the Supreme Lord. Anyone who has no interest but to dedicate his life to the service of the Lord is actually a sannyasi. Such a person always thinks of himself as an eternal servant, dependent on the supreme will of the Lord. As such, whatever he does it for the benefit of the Lord. Whatever action he performs it as service to the Lord. He does not give serious attention to the fruitive activities or prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedas. For ordinary persons, it is obligatory to execute the prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedas. But although a pure devotee who is completely engaged in the service of the Lord may sometimes appear to go against the prescribed Vedic duties, actually it is not so. It is said, therefore, by Vaishnava authorities that even the most intelligent person cannot understand the plans and activities of a pure devotee. The exact words are Tanra Vakya Kriya Mudra Vigyena Na Bhujya. Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya 23.39. A person who is thus always engaged in the service of the Lord, or is always thinking and planning how to serve the Lord, is to be considered completely liberated. At present and in the future, his going back home, back to Godhead, is guaranteed. He is above all materialistic criticism, just as Krishna is above all criticism. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Okay. So welcome to you all who've come to attend the class. We don't have a lot of people live audience these days. I guess we have a few online audience, I'm not sure, but that's fine. So today's verse actually is very, very interesting. Interesting because it's in this verse, in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining what is the results of bhakti. Before that, he's explaining how we can neutralize things. And by neutralizing, what we mean here is the first line of the verse says, Shubha Ashubha, means Shubh and Ashubh. Whatever activities you will perform, there is going to be results. Shubha Ashubha Phaler Evam. So whatever actions we are going to perform, whether they are good or bad, there is going to be some reaction. And we all know it from our material point of view also. We've experienced it. Let's say, we indulge in overeating. Maybe, we love rasgullas, let's say. And we eat too many of them because we like it. Immediately, we get a stomach pain, right? So we've seen, as soon as there is some action, there is going to be a reaction. Pious activities will give us good reaction. Impious will give us a bad reaction. So the point is that we are tied. Karma bandhana. We are tied because of our activities. Yes, we might get some good results, which is great. We are doing pious work. We are good people, only doing the right things. We might get good results. We may get, like Prabhupada gives example, we may take birth in a very, very rich family. But that does not mean that you are getting rid of your material body. And unfortunately, this material body is a source of all kinds of miseries. In the Bhagavad Gita, we speak about the 3 types of miseries that the material body goes through. Anybody? 3 types of miseries? 3-fold miseries? Disease, yes. These are divided or categorized as 3-fold miseries. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Adhyatmika, Adidaivika, Adibhautika. Right? So miseries that will come upon you because of your body. So let's say I live in a country where it is extremely hot, so I can't deal with the heat. Or suppose it's very cold. So these are because of your body, or you get diseased, you fall ill, so you're suffering. Then there are some kind of miseries which come because of other living entities. Like let's say, especially in India, not here so much, but in India we are always, attacked by mosquitoes, right? So that means we are getting miseries because of other living entities. And then there are miseries which is because of the material nature itself. Like there are floods and there are droughts and there's, all kinds of, like we're going through right now, the pandemic, COVID. So there's other kinds of calamities which comes. This material world is a place where we are constantly under one or the other kind of misery or all three at the same time. But it is like in the Bhagavad Gita it says, Dukkhalaya Shashvatam, this place is full of miseries. So it doesn't matter that you've done pious activities and you probably, yes, you might get, you might take birth in the US. When Prabhupada used to give these classes, he would always talk about how in those times and even now, India was not as materially progressed as the US. So Prabhupada was always give example that yes, you might do pious activities and take birth in a rich family in the US. And what he meant was that because it is materially progressive, so you will have all kinds of material comforts. But it still does not mean that you will not have these miseries which will come on you because you are in this material body. It doesn't matter where you are, in which country you take birth, these miseries are going to be with you. In fact, to take it even further, it doesn't matter if you take birth in the heavenly planets or the hellish planets. As it is explained that because you've done your pious activities, you may go to the heavenly planets. But as soon as your quota of your pious activities is over, you will fall back down onto the earth. Or if you've done, let's say, sinful activities, you will go to the hellish planets. But again, once you have you've got the results of your sinful activities, you will come back. Like the example is that if somebody goes against the law, he's put in prison. But he's put in prison based on what sinful action he's done. Of course, there are times when he's put for life, but there are times there might be number of years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. He does come back out. So same way, even if you go to the heavenly planets or hellish planets, when you finish your quota of your good or bad activities, you will come back on this material earth. So the point is that you are tied, karma bandhana, you are tied in this cycle of birth, old age, disease and death. And you are constantly going around and around in this cycle. But in this verse, Krishna is giving us the solution. So he is saying, moksha se, he says, you will become free of this karma bandhana. And he is giving us how we can become free of this. So what is being said is that if you start to dovetail your activities, if you start to put Krishna in the center, perform all your activities as a sacrifice to Krishna. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, in fact, chapter 3, verse 9, a very nice verse this is. It says, Yajnartha karma nonyatra loko yam karma bandhana tadartham karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. So what it means is yajnartha, yagya, whatever you're doing, if you do it for Vishnu. Vishnu is the yagya purush. So any activity that you do, if you're doing it as a sacrifice for Krishna, then you have the chance to be liberated. Now, all of us have to perform activities, even just to simply maintain ourselves. Very, very not having great ambitions, but even just simply maintaining our bodies. One has to perform some activities, some duties. You cannot negate that. You cannot run away from that, right? But if you do it as satisfaction of Krishna or Vishnu, then you will be free from bondage. So then the question is, how do we do that? How does one do that? Especially when one is starting out in Krishna consciousness. And I speak from experience because when I started out, and I used to think, how is this possible? I am going to work. I have a 9-to-5 job. How is that job related to Krishna? It's completely different, two different things. But then, you learn, your acharyas teach you, your gurus teach you that how you can dovetail all your activities. Yes, you have to go to work. You have to earn money to maintain yourself, to maintain your family, to maintain your house, your children, and whatever else. The moment you start thinking and you start realizing that actually, when I say my house and my family, nothing is mine. Why is nothing mine? Because this body itself is not mine. It is given to me by Krishna, right? So my eternal, reality is that I am part and parcel of Krishna. And my eternal dharma is to be the servant of Krishna and to serve Krishna. So when I myself am not mine, then anything that I think is mine is actually not mine, it is Krishna's. So the moment there is a shift in consciousness that these children are Krishna's children, the house that I'm living in is actually Krishna's. So when I'm working, the consciousness changes that I am not making money in order to fulfill my senses or to give pleasure to my senses. I am doing this so that I can please the Lord by looking after His children, by looking after His house, So everything suddenly just changes. Nothing changes as such outwardly, but everything changes internally because there is a shift in your consciousness. So you just bring Krishna into the center and you realize that, everything that I'm doing is for Krishna. And it's very simple. You don't even have to have any elaborate setup in your houses. Just a simple, just a picture of the Lord. So it's constantly, making you realize that He is the center of my whole life. And then anything that you do, like when we first start our Krishna conscious journey, we are all encouraged to, whatever we cook in the house, offer it to the Lord and then have it. So suddenly everything starts revolving around Krishna. You start to think whatever you're doing, you offer to the Lord. So you're having it as His remnants, as His prasad, and then you will realize that, yes, I can actually dovetail everything for Krishna. So here Prabhupada is saying that he talks about Yukta Vairagya. The technical term he says is Yukta Vairagya. And I will read one very interesting, where did my phone go? I need to read one very interesting conversation which Srila Prabhupada was having. I can find it. Yes. So he's talking about sannyasa. This is a morning walk conversation. And Prabhupada says, nyasa. Nyasa means giving up. Sat nyasa, sannyasa. He says, Sat is Krishna. Therefore, when you sacrifice everything for Krishna, that is real sannyas. Obviously, he says, not this dress, just by... So, why we are talking about Yukta Vairagya and sannyas here is, one needs to understand what is Vairagya. Vairagya means renunciation. The most important thing to understand, and Prabhupada would explain this, is when renunciation, okay, you're giving up something. But the point is, what is yours that you can give up? Nothing is yours. Absolutely nothing in this material world is yours. So what exactly are you giving up? Right? So that is why it is so important to understand what kind of renunciation is Srila Prabhupada talking about. And therein comes the term Yukta Vairagya. What does Yukta Vairagya mean? It does not mean that you give up things. It means that you use everything in Krishna's service. Right? When during Prabhupada's time, when Prabhupada would visit the Western countries and his disciples would be at the airport and they would have, big cars to welcome him. And some of the reporters would ask questions like, but you are a renunciate. Why do you need these things? The point here is two things. Of course, Prabhupada said, he is representative of Krishna and Krishna gets the best. So why shouldn't he? But the point here is that in our understanding, renunciation means to just leave everything, go to the jungles, forest, wear the orange robes and meditate. That is not actual renunciation. That is actually called Falgu Vairagya. Falgu means, false renunciation, because not everybody, there may be some people who can stay like that, but not everybody can have this blank mind where they don't do anything, because eventually it so happens that you want something, because eternally the nature of the soul is to serve, to love. When you have this kind of activity where you're in the jungles not doing anything and you are just meditating on the void, there is nothing, there's no relationship. So that's not something that a soul can do, because that's not the eternal nature of the soul. And so you do fall back and you come back into the material world, and you kind of, like Prabhupada would explain so many times in his lectures, that you come back and you want to start doing like charitable things, building hospitals, or making some orphanages, or doing kind of good things, because the soul needs activity. And that is why when you understand the principle of Yukta Vairagya, what it means is that you don't renounce anything. You don't give up anything that you're doing. You still continue doing exactly what you're doing. So you don't subtract, you only add. And what do you add? You add Krishna into it. So yes, you may have the best of facilities, the best of things, and it's good, because that way you have more influence in the society. If somebody sees that somebody who is so successful, is doing so well materially, but is able to utilize everything that he has in Krishna's service, that inspires a lot of people to kind of say, okay, I also can do the same thing. I'm not expected to give up everything, So that's what Yukta Vairagya is actually. So Yukta Vairagya, like it says in the purport, it says, everything nirbandhe Krishna sambandhe. Everything is in relation to Krishna. That's Vairagya. And then what happens? What is the result when somebody is able to live this kind of life? What happens? So when one is situated in this kind of renunciation, what happens is that slowly your mind, the mirror of your mind, starts getting clean. And in our Shashtakam, we say this Cheto Darpanam Arjunam. So what we're actually doing is we are cleaning. The soul eternally is Sat Chit Anand. It is always full of bliss, it is eternal, and it is always full of knowledge. But what has happened is, because we have been through millions and millions of lifetimes, so all of these lifetimes have created this, there's dust on our soul. The soul has got covered with various kind of influences of the modes of material nature. So all that we have to do, this bhakti process, what it is making us do is slowly, day by day, clean that. And when you clean it, when there is a mirror and if it is covered by dust, you obviously cannot see your reflection. The moment you clean that mirror, you can see the reflection. When you clean the mirror of the mind, you can see your original self. When you look at yourself, you see this body, but you go beyond that and you realize, I am not just this body. I am actually the soul who is engaged in this body. And then you start asking questions that, if I am so, if I am this soul, why am I here? Why have I been put in this kind of body? There's then loads of questions. An intelligent man, Prabhupada would say, bhakti is not for the unintelligent, because the intelligent person will ask these questions. Why am I in this body, and why is somebody else in another body? Why am I in this particular situation, but all around me I see people in different kinds of situations, or living entities in different kinds of bodies? How is it that I have got this and the other person or the other soul has got another body? So you start asking these questions, and then you want to know, what is going to happen after this? I know that this body is temporary. I'm going to die. What happens after death? Is that the end, the be-all and end-all, or is there something else? So slowly, when you start practicing Krishna consciousness, when you start to renounce in that sense where you're using everything for the pleasure of Krishna, cleansing process starts. And when cleansing starts, then you make gradual progress in spiritual realization, where you start to realize that yes, I am the spirit soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna, I am here because of my past karma. What can I do that I don't stay in this cycle? So, slowly you start to make progress. When you make progress, you also realize that there's nothing in my control. Everything is controlled by the Lord, and we've heard so many times, not even a blade of grass can move without the sanction of the Lord. You come to that realization, so then you want to surrender to the Lord. You realize that I cannot do anything, Krishna, without your sanction, without your mercy, without your grace. So now I have understood this, I have realized this. Let me please surrender to you. So you surrender to the Lord. When you surrender to the Lord, and the Lord, He is the puppeteer. He's got the strings of all of us in His hands. And He is moving us, like Prabhupada says in this purport, very, very nice. He says, I want to read that statement. He says, and as the actor gradually makes progress, here he used the term actor. And there is a beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I unfortunately don't remember the entire verse. But this is prayers of Queen Kunti. And she says this, Maya Javanika Channam, she says. She's addressing Krishna. And she says, just like an actor who comes on stage and who is behind these, behind these masks or the makeups or the costume that he's wearing, you are like that. We cannot understand you. And from there you are acting and you're also like making us, we are all actors on that stage and you're pulling the strings, right? So once we realize that Krishna is pulling our strings, we surrender to Him. And when we take shelter of the Lord and we completely realizing that everything that I do should be just to please the Lord, then we get liberated. And the best thing that Krishna is saying over here is, it is not just any kind of liberation. He says, Vimukto mam upesyasi. So he says, Vimukto is liberated, mam, to me you will attain. You will come to me. Not just any kind of liberation. And Prabhupada talks about the 5 different kinds of liberation. Obviously that's another deep topic to go into, but there are 5 types of liberation. And the devotee does not even really care much about liberation, because the devotee, all that he wants is he gets the opportunity to serve the Lord. But Prabhupada is saying that over here, if you're a devotee, it is specified that the devotee will go back to Krishna, go back to Godhead, and engage directly in the association of the Lord. Very clearly it is being said that, because the other kind of liberations, the devotee really doesn't care about this. So we can look at one example from our scriptures about this. Hanuman was a servant of the Lord. He looked at himself, he thought of himself as the servant, and he performed all his duties towards Lord Ram in that mood. But also the other important factor was that he was completely dependent on the Lord. Not even for a moment he had this egoistical thought that I can serve the Lord, because I can't do anything if the Lord does not sanction it. So there was complete dependence on the Lord, and that is what Prabhupada also talks about over here, that he says such a person always thinks of himself as an eternal servant, dependent on the supreme will of the Lord. And such a person, he is already liberated, because even when he is in the material world, his entire life revolves around how he can serve the Supreme Lord. So he is doing exactly what he would actually do if he was in the spiritual world. So a devotee, doesn't matter whether he is living in the material world, whether he is in the hellish planets or the heavenly planets or the spiritual world, because he has only one activity, and then that act is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And obviously other things that Prabhupada mentions in the purport is that because he is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord, he does not worry about the fruitive activities or the Vedic injunctions. Like a lot of people think that if I don't, let's say, perform a particular activity or don't pray to a particular demigod, then I will get, bad results. A devotee does not worry about all these things because he knows that Krishna is the supreme. And as Prabhupada has explained so many times, if I water the roots of the tree, then the branches, leaves, flowers, everybody will be happy. Everybody will get the water. So I don't need to separately water the branch or the leaf or the flower. And a devotee understands that I don't need to perform fruitive activities or various kinds of austerities or sacrifices to the other demigods, or to my ancestors. I don't need to do all of that because I am watering the root of the tree by praying to or by surrendering to the will of the Supreme Lord. So he's actually liberated from all these things. And sometimes, as Prabhupada says in his last paragraph, sometimes normal people who don't understand Krishna consciousness or are not aware of these things may sometimes think that, devotees are a little, they've lost it, they're a little mad. Why are they doing this kind of thing? And Prabhupada says that, the most intelligent person cannot understand the plan and activities of a pure devotee. We cannot understand because a pure devotee is acting under the directions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We don't understand it because we are still under the influence of the three modes of material nature. And that is why we think that we have to perform different kind of austerities, perform different kind of sacrifices to please our ancestors, to please the demigods, to please so and so, all of those things. But a devotee understands that the only austerity that we need to perform, the only sacrifice we need to perform is to please the Supreme Lord. And in the Kali Yuga, the only way that we can please the Supreme Lord is by chanting the holy name. And in all our scriptures it is said that the only way, the only austerity, the only sacrifice that we are meant to perform and that we can perform. Because in previous yugas, there was the facility for human beings to do different kinds of austerities. In Kali Yuga, one cannot. We don't have those kind of facilities. So the only thing that we can do is chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's all that we are being asked to do. Dovetail all our activities, perform, chant the holy names of the Lord. And Krishna is promising that you will come to me. This is Krishna's promise to us, that you will come to me. Right? So I shall stop here. If there are any questions or comments or corrections, since I have an audience, normally I don't have an audience. Any comments or questions? No? Prabhuji? No? All right, so then I will stop here. Thank you very much for your attention. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.